We are at Redbyrd Orchard in Trumansburg, New York, and it's 28 acres. And we have 4 acres of producing orchard and another acre of young trees, about 30 sheep, 20 geese. Main enterprise is fermented cider. And we got our license in 2010, so we've been producing commercial cider for 12 years. You know, there's like some heirlooms and some of the more disease-resistant culinary apples in there that I try to, sometimes I sell them at the farmer's market if I get a good crop. This is a 1 acre deer fenced block with 8-year-old trees on semi-dwarf rootstock. And this is like, this orchard is like my low management orchard. All my orchards are low management, but this one's like even more low management. And so basically, I had the geese down here early in the spring until maybe June, early June. And then I pulled them off, and then I literally mowed this one time, and then I let it grow up, and then I put them back in here yesterday, October 4th. They'll definitely eat the drops, so I like to use the drops, and I don't want the drops on poop, so that's why they were out of here for a good chunk of the summer. And now that they're back, they can be down here until December or even next spring. And they've got lots of good grass to eat, and it's amazing if you come back in a month, you know, or 2 months, if there's not snow on the ground, it's like really well trimmed. It's really awesome. I recently divided this in half. So this is, so I have 2 halves to this 1 acre that I can move them from one half to the other. So it's somewhat rotational. So these trees have competition, right? They are not like, there's not a herbicide strip, there's not even a good mulch layer, and they're growing. You know, they're putting on new growth, they're putting out apples. Last summer, I actually mowed never down here. This year I mowed once. And so it's kind of amazing. They for sure deter voles. So in an organic orchard, especially like this with all these weeds, vole populations build up, and they can do a lot of damage to trunks, especially over the winter. And when geese spend 2 months like this before winter, matting down, eating vegetation, they completely disturb the, if there are any voles, like their runways. And I would even go as far to say that they like push them out. You know, like the voles don't want to be in here. So that's, I think, another huge benefit. And I've seen very, very little vole damage on these trees with the geese down here. So I think that's another huge thing. So with the sheep and the geese eating the apple drops or the rotten apples, they're consuming any fungal, you know, spores on that fruit and potentially insect larvae. For me, the main benefits here are healthy food for the geese and soil building for the trees. The main orchard here has over 100 apple varieties in it, so it has tons of variation, and that is really useful. I mean, it's really useful from like an ecological perspective because there's variation in everything, and disease resistance in bloom time. So that's a benefit, but from a cider making perspective, it's really fun to work with all those different varieties. We've got some aging cider both in cases and barrels. We've got apples that we're getting ready to press. These are called Golden Hornet. So that's a crab apple. Super tannic and sharp and full of sugar. This is Hudson's Golden Gem. We've got Porter's Perfection. This is like my favorite. It's for cider. It's got tannin and acid, so it's not very fun to eat, but really good cider apple. Crab apples. These are more crab apples. For me, I really love crab apples because they are just like power packed with like flavor and complexity. So they really are add a lot of character. This is a cider from last year's crop that is from that orchard block over there, 100%. Oh, the other thing that Deva, my wife and I do is we are artists and we put our artwork on the labels. So this is the Cloud Splitter from the 2019 harvest. So we make some ciders that are champagne style or traditional method, and that is essentially a secondary fermentation in the bottle, aged on the bottle lees for 2-3 years. Having this cidery allows us to bank up a heavy crop, have it in bottles, safe in the cooler, and then when we have a small crop like this year, hopefully we have the inventory that can get us through another year.